Good evening, I'm Vanessa Dillon and welcome to Impeachment Wrap. Where does America stand? Our web-only live show that wraps everything up you need to know about today's Senate impeachment trial. Well, each chapter in American history closed with two not guilty verdicts. The Senate impeachment trial into President Donald Trump is over. So what happens next? And how will the White House react? Well, Steve Nannis has more.
It is therefore ordered and adjudged that the said Donald John Trump be, and he is hereby, acquitted of the charges in said articles.
After a months-long investigation and a 3-week-long trial, the Senate has voted to acquit President Donald Trump in just the third presidential impeachment trial in U.S. history. The Wednesday afternoon vote coming after a contentious, mostly partisan trial. Democratic House managers accusing the president of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, saying he withheld aid from Ukraine in exchange for an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son.
When the president tries to coerce an ally to help him cheat in our elections and then covers it up, we must say enough.
The president and his legal team maintaining he did nothing wrong and that there was no grounds for removal.
We've never been in a situation like this in our history. We have an impeachment that is purely partisan and political.
The Senate rejected a Democratic-led effort to call witnesses and subpoena documents last Friday, setting the stage for the conclusion of the trial.
Mr. Romney, guilty.
The only Republican to break ranks with his party on the final vote, Senator Mitt Romney. The president did not mention impeachment in Tuesday's State of the Union address, but throughout the entire impeachment process, he and his closest supporters have maintained that the trial should come to a swift end. In Washington, I'm Steve Nannis reporting.
Senators spoke to press today after the vote. Their reactions as through most of the process falling along party lines.
I don't think any of you doubt that this was the most partisan of exercises. We all fully remember, and it's been said numerous times, the Speaker said roughly a year ago, you shouldn't go forward with an impeachment that was not bipartisan. I've watched her very carefully over the years. Our leadership positions have overlapped, and even before then, we were working together on appropriation bills back in the early days. I'm pretty sure she didn't want to do this. But the fact that she was pulled into this direction against what appeared to be her political instincts a year ago underscores that this was a purely political exercise.
Democrats walked out of the Senate chamber with their heads held high because we sought the truth. There's a giant asterisk next to the president's acquittal. The asterisk says he was acquitted without facts, he was acquitted without a fair trial, and it means that his acquittal is virtually valueless.
Meantime, today's vote made history long before the verdict came down when Senator Mitt Romney of Utah publicly declared this morning that he would vote to remove President Donald Trump from office. It's the first time a senator has ever voted to convict a president of their own party in the impeachment trial. NBC's Cassie Hunt has more.
I'm Casey Hunt. Today, Senator Mitt Romney, once the Republican presidential nominee, stood as his party's lone voice against President Trump.
Mr. Romney. Mr. Romney, guilty.
Voting with Democrats in favor of convicting the president of abuse of power.
My faith is at the heart of who I am. I take an oath before God as enormously consequential. I knew from the outset that being tasked with judging the president, the leader of my own party, would be the most difficult decision I have ever faced. I was not wrong.
Romney, who did vote to acquit the president on the second article of impeachment,
Not guilty.
became the first senator ever to vote to convict a president of their own party in an impeachment trial.
What the president did was grievously wrong, and I had to vote if I was going to live with my own conscience.
Romney's vote, a final turn away from his rocky relationship with the president, who endorsed Romney's 2012 presidential bid. But ahead of Mr. Trump's election in 2016, Romney denounced him, igniting a firestorm.
Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud.
You can see how loyal he is. He was begging for my endorsement.
The two appeared to make amends when Romney was rumored to be in the running to be Trump's Secretary of State, a job Romney didn't get. 2 years later, winning a Senate seat. Tonight, voting his conscience over his party.
With my vote, I will tell my children and their children that I did my duty to the best of my ability, believing that my country expected it of me.
And that was Casey Hunt reporting. After the Senate vote today, both Speaker Nancy Pelosi and lead House Manager Adam Schiff praised Senator Romney for their decision.
Very impressed by Senator Romney's statement. Now the president has been a bipartisan vote against him staying in office.
I think it took enormous courage for Senator Romney to do what he did, and I think down the road when we face tough votes in either party, I think we will think back to his courage and it will inspire us. I'm grateful that we had such a good team and presented such a strong case, and to impress the senators in both parties that the president was guilty.
Moments after the verdict came down, protests erupted outside of the Capitol building. The protesters went on to chant "Acquittal is a cover-up" and carried signs that read "Shame on the Senate." Well, back here at home, a group gathered at the Liberty Bell to share their perspectives on the verdict.
This is a gathering of people who are protesting what we're calling the cover-up, and the idea that somehow this president of the United States should not be held responsible for his actions. The Republican Party now is just completely under the thrall of Donald Trump and his supporters, who they're worried about, coming back on them if they were to vote, to convict him.
So what happens next? President Trump says he will hold a news conference tomorrow at noon to address the Senate's acquittal. Well, thank you for joining us this evening on Impeachment Wrap. Where does America stand? If you'd like to catch up on previous episodes, head to kgt.com. I'm Vanessa Dillon, and from all of us here at Circle 17, have a great night.